We all love a good plot twist. From The Sixth Sense's amazing reveal of a perpetually dead Bruce Willis to The Usual Suspect's final incredulous villain, cinema is appreciated best when it makes you double take so hard that you're left picking your jaw up in the aftermath. What these two movies in particular have in common though, as it should be noted, is that they're fantastic films regardless of whether a Category 5 twister comes bounding in or not. But not every film has the pleasure of such solid conception. There's plenty of plain old average movies out there that get by just fine as the humble, ready salted crisps of the film world. Getting a good plot twist into one of these mediocre movies is perhaps even better then, since they catapult them to new, lofty heights in the process and transform your average Joe into a Technicolor Joseph in no time with a giant shake-up that turns the narrative on its head. It's not often that one convention can save a whole movie, but these are the exceptions to expectation that are worth the watch. And of course, there's gonna be spoilers. Don't say I didn't warn you. I am the average Ash from What Culture, and this is my plot twist video. These are 10 mediocre movies made awesome by their twist. 10. Book of Eli. The blind leading the blind. When the last copy of a book becomes a coveted prize for literature nerds and raging tyrants alike, one man intends to protect it at all costs. Eli travels across the deserts of Earth after the apocalypse has struck, being instructed by a divine force to head west to safety whilst carrying the final written copy of the Bible, intending to give it to those that would do good with it. Of course, it is not quite that easy, as along the way he's hounded by a man that wants it for power over the meagre townships that have been rebuilt in the wake of nuclear war, named Carnegie. Whilst Eli does make it to the promised land, Carnegie manages to steal his Bible copy, only to then find out that it's written in Braille, and Eli is a blind man that has been seemingly supernaturally protected as he endeavours on his journey. Considering he's been drop-kicking the shit out of any and everyone that gets in his way, it's a particularly impressive feat, and a surprise that lends itself to seeing all the sound cues and clues to his condition along the course of his journey. Without this gratifying moment at the end, the Book of Eli wouldn't be half the movie it is, relegated to being a simple action flick. The twist doubles down on its holy message in excellent form. 9. Sleepaway Camp. Angela is a man. Essentially, Sleepaway Camp is the Diet Coke version of Friday the 13th for the most part. It's not as big or famous, and it's not nearly as good, but its defining twist is something that has elevated the movie into infamy in the years since its release. Portraying a camp plagued by a mysterious serial killer, kids keep dying gruesome deaths while they're supposed to be rowing and playing volleyball. And being stung to death by a swarm of riled up bees is hardly a fun summer camp activity after all. After plenty of unfortunate accidents, it is revealed that the central innocent protagonist, Angela, is actually a boy who's been raised as a girl, murdering everyone that has wronged them in a psychotic rage after a lifetime of abuse at the hands of their aunt. Whilst the revelation is heavily dated now and maybe a bit problematic, at the time it was one of the most surprising twists a horror movie could spurt out, with Angela's surprise killer instincts carefully hidden away until the very last moment. Pamela Voorhees' revelation was just as good, but then Friday the 13th isn't a mediocre movie. 8. Life. Calvin's Switcheroo. Life is one of those films that often divides audiences as to whether it's actually good or just a steaming pile of trash. Truth is that Life is a fine science fiction horror movie, adhering to the conventions of the genre whilst referencing other inspirational films of the same ilk in the process. And whilst it might be unremarkable in its central plot for the most part, it really goes balls to the wall with its ending. After spending the whole damn movie trying to keep some gloopy space creature from snapping every bone in their bodies, the last two survivors of the compromised International Space Station, astronauts David and Miranda, managed to trap the lovingly named extraterrestrial Calvin into an escape pod with David, blasting it into deep space to avoid an Earthbound catastrophe should he manage to get off the ship. Miranda then intends to return to Earth to warn the populace about the killer Martian. Only when the pod lands in the ocean, Calvin and a screaming David can be seen, whilst alone Miranda has been condemned to death in deep space. Ugh! It is a brutal finale, and all but makes up for any qualms people have about watching Ryan Reynolds die horribly in space. Might as well throw the whole planet away. 7. Repo Men. Happy Ever After is available on finance. In a world where organs can be bought on finance and taken away again if you can't pay up, regardless of if losing a lung will kill you, Two repo men take pleasure in their work loan sharking for the Union, a company that manufactures and sells the implants for extortionate fees. Of course, Jude Law's mind changes when he has to get a fake heart himself, and repo men then come for the organ in his chest whether he is attached to it or not. Eventually, he manages to wipe out the debt of every single person under contract from their organs. Mostly so he can live in peace, but also because he owes it to loads of people he murdered, really. Where the film shines, however, is by then revoking this happy ending to reveal that it is a neural implant from the Union, inserted after he was knocked unconscious in a fight and used to market a new product now available to the masses. Exceptionally wry, it is an ending that concentrates the entire film's message into one adrenaline shot in its final moments, elevating the capitalist criticism to far higher than it has right to be otherwise. 6. The Maze Runner. Phase 2. Young adult fiction really had a moment a few years back, and at the top of the pile of teen drama and The Chosen Ones lay The Maze Runner, a mystery that explored a group of young men and one woman that were forced to survive in the middle of a labyrinth. The film unfolded to reveal that they were some of the last left alive after a world-ending event, experimented on to create a cure by monitoring their brain activity. They had been left in the maze, discovering all the scientists conducting their experiment were now dead and rescued after escaping by a group of soldiers. As they fly away in a helicopter from the ruined landscape that used to be a city, the scientists that held them captive turn out to be remarkably not dead. Watching the teens leave, a comment is made, revealing that their destination had nothing to do with hard-earned freedom. A scientist says, "They seem to have taken the bait. It's too soon to say, but they could be the key to everything. So let's move forward. It's time now to begin phase 2. And with that, instead of the basic principle of breaking free of the trap, it turns out everything they've been through has been part of it all along. Ooh, very good. 5. Extinction. The invaders are human, and the humans are robots. Extinction is your average alien invasion movie. A family fights for survival in a War of the Worlds style nightmare where forces from outer space come to steal Earth for their own and wipe out humanity in the process. It is the normal storyline we've seen 1,000 times before, or at least, that's what you'd think to begin with. Elevating it to new heights by dropping a mad twist in the middle that isn't signposted at all, it turns out that the human family we're rooting for isn't human at all. They're full of wires and flashy bits, and actually sentient artificial intelligence that has been memory wiped after winning a war against humanity many years ago. And if that wasn't enough to blow your socks off, then the revelation that the invaders are the humans coming back to steal their home planet from the machines they created should have you barefoot in no time. If you ever wanted a living embodiment of that incredulous man blinking meme, this is 100% it. 4. Jigsaw. Both a prequel and a sequel. Much in the same way as Final Destination 5, Jigsaw decided to play fast and loose with its timeline in the 8th installment in its franchise, turning a perfectly serviceable, average horror movie into something genuinely quite impressive. And that is saying something, since the words impressive and Saw haven't gone together since Bruce Willis had hair. After showing the usual race between the police and a sadistic murderer putting his captives through deliciously gruesome traps, Jigsaw then reveals we've been watching a dual timeline. One that spans the original Jigsaw's life, that of John Kramer, as he teaches his protege Logan his work 10 years prior, and Logan then reenacting his trap experience out on a new group in the present day. Everywhere there appears to be a plot hole or inconsistency instantly becomes smoothed out, making a rewatch of the movie practically irresistible to see how the Spearig brothers managed to pull it all off. Combine this plot twist with that terrifying tornado trap, and Jigsaw becomes awesome in no time. 3. The Mist. The resistance is already here. Whilst The Mist is often remembered as an amazing movie, it all lies on that absolutely mental ending that left a giant, gaping hole in audiences' hearts after watching one man lose everything. Without it, it's a tense movie with some pretty shoddy CGI work, and one that would have been shelved with other disappointing Stephen King adaptations without much more said about it. After David and his group manage to escape a supernatural mist that has trapped them inside a supermarket for the entirety of the movie, they realise there is no hope left in a world that's been overrun with monsters and bad weather conditions. Taking out a gun and using his last 4 bullets, David kills 3 friends and his son before throwing himself out to the mercy of the mist, only to watch it roll away and the military emerge as a successful, triumphant resistant force rescuing survivors that they happen across. Jesus Christ, that has got to sting a bit. 2. Ender's Game. The simulation is not a simulation. If any plot twist was designed to make your gut drop right out your bottom, it is the one at the close of Ender's Game. When a talented young boy is trained to become the leader of a specialized military team designed to combat an alien threat, the last part of his training takes place in a simulation. After rigorous preparation and a continued questioning of his capabilities, Ender proves his worth by annihilating the alien race that threatens humanity with relative ease in his computerized test. Only when the screens are shut down, his actions prove to be far more permanent than a game of Pong. Ender has been tricked into enacting his battle strategy in real life, becoming the leader in the genocide of an entire species. Heavy. Whilst the rest of the film follows a contemplative and brooding tone for a science fiction movie, this moment single-handedly punches with all the film's force behind it, delivering a ridiculously weighty concept that makes the movie far superior by its end than where it started out. 1. The Visit. These old people are stranger than you think. No list about movie twists would be complete without Big M swinging his dick around, with Shyamalan's The Visit a great example of a bog-standard found footage movie made all the better for its juicy end twist. Going to stay at a grandparent's house as a teenager is never a particularly fun time, especially when you don't even know them that well and they're clearly going a bit round the bend. But Becca and Tyler are determined to bond with their family, even if that means following cryptic warnings about not leaving their rooms at night and avoiding the basement at all costs. After seeing enough strange stuff to scare the pants off the siblings, and the grandfather too since his used diaper comes off and is smushed into Tyler's face, you're welcome for those nightmares, it's revealed that the pair are actually escaped mental patients who've murdered and replaced a family during their outbreak. Not only that, but the children managed to survive their encounter. A highly unusual outcome for found footage horrors. Twist upon twist, that one. And that's our list. What other plot deviations save the movies they're in? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I've been Ash and this has been What Culture. Make sure to subscribe to the What Culture YouTube channel for more lists like this. And don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. Thanks for watching.